I have no fucking idea what I'm doing here, honestly. I fucking. Oh my god. Okay. So, I am very tired. My teeth are fucking killing me. Um, I don't know what possessed me to do this, but tried to enter into League of Legends because I enjoy because I enjoy pain, I guess. Um, then I figured, and then I got this fucking TOS update that was apparently modified at the turn of the month. Been a very long time since I've seen an update to the TOS. I figured I would do something completely pointless and ridiculous and go through it. Just because you want to see how dystopian most terms of service are. Yeah, we'll just go down and actually read this. So I don't know, you can turn this on to fucking, you can listen to this as an audio or some shit, like, or on your second monitor. I don't fucking know. Like, there's probably not going to be anything flashy. So, I guess this is Riot's patch notes for their fucking terms of service. I hate this company, so, this will be fun to go through. Greetings, players. These terms of service, uh, yeah, greetings, players. These terms of service, the terms, set out the terms and conditions by which Riot Games offers you access to use and enjoy our games, apps, websites, and other services, the Riot services. Riot Games is a global gaming company headquartered in Los Angeles with offices and operations around the world. When we say Riot Games, we're referring to the Riot Games entity responsible for providing the Riot services in your region. See Section 18 and below. These terms are an agreement between you and that entity. Please read these terms carefully and pay particular attention to these items. Fun fact, they are banking on you not reading these at all, actually, just like every other fucking company. Dispute resolution. If you reside in the United States, please read the binding arbitration clause and class action waiver in Part A of Section 16. It affects how disputes between us are resolved. TLDR, by playing their game, you waive the right to sue them. It never holds up, but they put it there. Virtual content. When you click to purchase, earn, or are gifted virtual content, you only get a license to access virtual content. You have no ownership in any of the virtual content you unlock, and you can't transfer it to someone else. Virtual content has no monetary value, which is why we charged $500 for a fucking RE skin, but, don't worry about that. And you can't transfer it to someone else. Virtual content has no monetary value, is generally game specific, and you can't redeem virtual content for any type of real world money. You can read more about this, including what virtual content means, in Section 4. Again, pay no attention to the fact that we are charging you outrageous sums for virtual content that has no value. Refund policy. You lose the right to change your mind, cancel the order, and get a refund if you get immediate access to or download your digital content. There are some exceptions to this rule, but we have a strict policy on refunds. Read about it here. User rules. You agree to follow our user rules, Section 7, which govern both in-game behavior and certain out-of-game conduct while using the Riot services. Oh, I'm looking forward to reading that. What'd I just press? Oh, whatever. Fun fact, last month, just about, slightly into, not a full month ago, but about last month, just fun fact, I got I got chat restricted by a machine. I got auto moderated. for calling myself a retard after making a bad play. So, yeah, in-game chat's pretty dead because of the machine overlord that doesn't give a damn about context. Now moderating your actions on the fly. Section 7 also explains the penalties for breaking the user rules, e.g., disciplinary measures that include temporary bans, account suspension or termination and deletion, or hardware bans. Yeah, just send the fucking feds to my house, but, we'll get there when we get there. Regional laws. Some jurisdictions, for example, Australia and New Zealand, may have laws that grant you rights in addition to those described in these terms, depending on where you access or otherwise use Riot services. To the extent the provisions of any applicable laws conflict with any part of these terms, such provisions will take precedence. Attention, parents! We provide game rating info on our websites and age appropriateness. We also encourage you to supervise your child's online activities, review the content they are accessing, and, as appropriate, monitor their social interactions. For more info on game ratings and content descriptors, please check your local rating system. Table of contents, your account. Limited termination, limited license, virtual goods, game currency, and purchases. Fees and taxes, unsolicited idea submission policy, user rules, user-generated content, monitoring and anti-cheat, updates and modifications, links, notice and procedure for claims of copyright infringement, warranty disclaimers, limitation of liability, governing law, dispute resolution, additional terms applicable to Riot services, Riot legal entities, miscellaneous. Okay. Well, we've gotten past the preamble. Number 1, your account. Am I eligible to create an account and use the Riot services? You must be an adult or have permission from your parents or legal guardian. You'll need a Riot Games account to access many of our services, fairly standard. To create an account and use the Riot services, you must 1. Be an adult, 2. Be an emancipated minor, or 3. Have a valid parent or legal guardian consent to be bound by these terms. If you don't know what an emancipated minor is, just talk to fucking Kirsha. Like, just one of Kirsha's fucking videos goes, stream clips goes down it. Can you tell I'm tired of shit? If you're not an adult or emancipated minor or don't understand this section, please talk to your parents or legal guardian and ask for help. If you are the parent or legal guardian of a minor who creates an account with us, you and the minor accept and agree to be bound by these terms. You are also responsible for all use of the account in compliance with these terms by the minor, including all purchases made on this account. You may not create or use an account or use any of Riot services on behalf of any other person or legal entity for a commercial purpose. How can I create an account? On our website or by using social authentication. You can create an account with unique login credentials on our website by logging into the Riot services with an existing social media account, if applicable. Do I need to provide my real name and stuff? Yes. Please don't try to pull any kind of definitely not Blitzcrank or definitely not Udi or funny business. Question, fucking why? No, really, why? That's it's not me being sarcastic. What fucking business is it of yours? Like, you know, it's not like you're paying me anything. In fact, I'm paying you, but my real identity is between me and my bank. You don't need that. You legitimately don't need that information. Not that anybody is actually going to listen to that in the first place, but it's funny that that's there in your TOS. You don't have a justification for that. You must always supply us with accurate and complete info, including your real name. No, I don't. Go fuck yourself. I have a ton of different email accounts. Does it matter which one I use to register my account? Yes, otherwise you might miss important notices. Once again, no, it doesn't. Like, I don't know what the legal ramifications of not having this here is, but there is actually no reason to dox yourself to Riot. So, take that how you will. Like, unless Riot is signing your paychecks, there is no reason to dox yourself to Riot. That being said, my account my account does follow this, but that's because I made this account when I was not reading these, when I did not read these when I didn't read TOS like 90%, like 99.9% of people. We send account, legal, and service-related notices to the email address registered to your account. These notifications may be really important, e.g. a notification we intend to terminate your account for inactivity. My account had up until recently had been inactive for like 4 or 5 years. How long does it take to trigger that? So you must keep the email address associated with your account current and, if we ask, verified. If you create an account by logging into the Riot services with a social media account, your Riot Games account email will be the email address associated with that social media account. Well, joke's on you, asshole. I don't have a social media account. Google does not fucking count, because, no, Google Plus it was just not a thing. Literally only, and even that's literally just because YouTube is your Google account. So, fuck you. But then I'm a mutant, apparently, for not using any kind of social media, except YouTube, but it technically counts, but that's long form, so you can be actually, what's the phrase I'm looking for? You can give complete thoughts. Like, there's not a character limit that will fuck you over on things you talk about because you don't have room to mention certain parts of your thoughts on anything. I'm probably not articulating that properly. Can I share or sell my account or login credentials? No. Fair enough. When you create an account with us, we require you to select a unique username and password collectively, your login credentials. You agree that you can't share your account or login credentials with anyone. Makes sense. Pretty much this is standard. You will find this on every TOS that requires an account creation. You can't sell, transfer, or allow any other person access to your account or login credentials or offer to do so. Once again, fair enough. You must keep your login credentials secret. Once again, this is basic. This is shit we were taught in goddamn grade school. But again, it does have to be on paper somewhere. I got no problem with that. It's although I got no problem with this so far. You must notify us immediately if you become aware of any breach of security. And oh yes, we're going by this every single fucking line because I don't like this company at all, including any unauthorized account access or any lost, theft, or unauthorized use or disclosure of your login credentials or payment info so we can take appropriate steps. You are responsible for all losses, including loss or use of virtual content on your account where you have shared your login credentials or have failed to keep your login or account credentials secure. Excuse me. There I have a bit of a problem. Because 90% of the time, as of late, failing to keep your login or account credentials secure. That's on you, asshole. Like, part of that's on me. Yeah, don't ever tell someone what your fucking password is, but as long as you fulfill that step, any further hacks from there, that comes down to you keeping your server secure. And I believe Riot is on the list of companies that has routinely failed to do that. That is an accusation that I can't remember if it's fully accurate or not, though. I might be thinking, no, I'm thinking of Sony. But still, don't put that entirely down to me. Shit happens with you guys too. Will I be required to enable multi-factor authentication on my account? We may. It's not required. It's a good. That being said, my personal opinion, it's a good idea. But yeah, we may is such. I don't like that. I don't like the language of that, because they could just say no, because what this means is no. But they're reserving the right to require it later. Which also means if you don't have a phone, you're fucked. To secure the integrity of the Riot services and or your account, we may require you to enable multi-factor authentication. Yeah, whatever. Account termination. How can my account be suspended or terminated? I am actually a little curious about this in this update. Demacian justice will be visited upon your account. Wait, if you break the rules, Demacian justice will be visited upon your account. Is your legal TOS really the place to be saying shit like this? When you know, like, 99% of people are not actually going to read all this shit. Like, 99% of people aren't bored and tired like I currently am and are just like, fuck it. Let's make a thing out of this just because I don't know where to find it once I press agree. If I press agree, I'm probably going to find something in here that's going to make me really angry and just be like, I guess I'm going away again for another 5 years. Um uh but really the I would not have this in a legal document. Whatever. You may terminate or suspend your account at any time by contacting us at support at riotgames.com. Us. We may terminate or suspend your account if we reasonably determine that 1. You have breached any part of these terms, including the user rules. 2. Doing so would be in the best interests of our community or the Riot services, or is required for upholding a third party's rights. Okay. I'm gonna assume that part's standard because I'm not sure what third party rights could be violated, so I'm gonna assume that's standard legal jargon that you'd find on most, if not all, TOSs, minus the whole specifying Riot here. 3. We have stopped offering the Riot services in your region, though we'll normally post reasonable advance notice on our website app or game if we plan to stop offering a material core feature of a game or all of Riot services in your region. 4. We have to refund someone due to unauthorized use of a payment made from your account. Or 5. You have or we have reasonable grounds for suspecting that you have made unauthorized use of someone else's payment info. Yeah, don't I don't think it's controversial to say don't steal someone's credit card info unless it's the IRS's, then, fuck them. Um Probably shouldn't say that while reading a legal document. If you think we have made a mistake, please contact our player support team with details here, and we will review your case, though we may suspend your account during our review. And dude, trust me, it'll definitely be reviewed by a human. It always is, dude, trust me. During our review, terminations and suspensions may be temporary or permanent at our reasonable discretion. You can also challenge our determination. See Section 16. Will Riot maintain my account forever even if I stop using it? If you abandon your account for a very long period of time, we may terminate it after giving you notice and an opportunity to reactivate it. If you do not use your account for a prolonged period of time, which they are not being specific about, we reserve the right to take measures against your account, including suspension or termination. If we plan to take measures against your account based on prolonged period of inactivity, we will let you know first by email to the email address registered and give you ample opportunity to avoid such measure, e.g. deletion of your account. I mean, seems reasonable. Kind of annoyed there isn't a specific time frame, but it's a small gripe because, quite frankly, you don't care if you haven't used it for so long that you would even flag this. I'm only bothered by it being indeterminate because there's some snaky games you could play with that. Oh, he hasn't logged in for 3 weeks. We have randomly determined that that is prolonged because we don't fucking like you. Do I think that's liable to happen? Absolutely not. But the fact that it could feasibly happen because they aren't being specific is annoying. But again, it's something you'll read in every TOS. I don't think there's a single TOS for live service bullshit that doesn't that actually nails down a specific period of time in which this would start. So, eh. What happens if Riot terminates your account? No games for you, and you'll lose access to any purchases, including game currency and virtual goods. If your account is terminated, you'll no longer have access to your account, including any of the associated data or virtual contents, including game currency, though this does not limit or affect any rights you have under data or consumer protection laws. Where we terminate for cause, e.g., where you have breached these terms, you'll not be entitled to any refunds and will have no liability to you, and we reserve the right to terminate any other accounts you may have created, as well as your access to any other Riot services, also without refunds or liability to you. You understand and agree that using Riot services comes with the risk of your account, that your account may be terminated or suspended in accordance with these terms, and that whenever you use Riot services, you'll bear this risk in mind and always conduct yourself appropriately. No. Like, conduct yourself appropriately. I'm gonna say, all I'm gonna say to that for now is, I have a lot of thoughts on your community, Riot. All of them are your fault, but not for reasons I've heard other people address. We'll get into that if it becomes more relevant later, though, because I suspect it will. Limited license. What can I do with the Riot services? You can enjoy the Riot services for your own personal, non-commercial use. For those of you who don't know what that means, and just to go down the list of people who don't read this and how fucking and how little these are enforced, especially at Riot's discretion, you can't stream this game. Technically, by TOS, streaming their game, because that makes it commercial use. As soon as you start making money off of playing their game, it becomes commercial use. I'm pretty sure. I'm not an IP lawyer. I'm I'm not any kind of lawyer, but I'm pretty sure that's what it means. Someone will correct me, I'm sure, if I'm wrong on that. But that is how little TOS is actually ever enforced on people. And unless there's a bias behind it, is technically streaming or recording the game and then making it a video or stream that is monetized, I believe would break this. We grant you a limited, non-exclusive, non-transferable, revocable license to use and enjoy the Riot services and any virtual content for your individual, non-commercial, entertainment purposes only, and expressly conditioned upon your compliance with these terms. If we terminate your account, any license granted to us by you in the Riot services and any virtual content ends immediately unless otherwise expressly authorized by us in a signed written contract. You may not sell, copy, exchange, loan, reverse engineer, compile, decompile, derive source code from, translate, lease, grant security interest in, transfer, publish, assign, or otherwise distribute any of the Riot services or any of Riot Games' intellectual property, including any of our computer code or virtual content. Given this game's origins as a ripoff of the Dota mod, that's funny. Can I do stuff with Riot's intellectual property? We reserve all the rights to our IP, but do allow for some personal, non-commercial uses like fan art. Okay, they might actually make an exception for streaming here. I might have spoken prematurely on that. We and our licensors own and reserve all rights, title, and interest in and to the Riot services and all data content posted, generated, provided, or otherwise made available in or through the Riot services, including user accounts, computer code, titles, objects, artifacts, characters, character names, chat logs, game recordings and broadcasts, locations, location names, stories, dialogue, catchphrases, artwork, graphics, structural or landscape designs, animation, sound, musical compositions, and recordings, virtual goods, in-game currency, audiovisual effects, character likenesses, method of foreign operation and gameplay, collectively game content. For clarity, game content includes virtual content. You can't create any work of authorship based on the game content or Riot services except as expressly permitted by us. For more info about what fan uses we currently permit, please read our legal jibber-jabber policy. Our legal jibber-jabber policy. Did Mr. T write this? Though be aware that we change this from time to time, and for certain regions where we partner with third-party publishers, the publisher's terms of service may supersede provisions in this policy. Basically, 10 cents rules, dog walk ours, so is how I'm electing to read that. You also agree that unless we grant you a license and a written contract signed by us, you may never use any of our trademarks, service marks, trade names, logos, domain names, taglines, or trade dress, any reproduction, redistribution, or modification of the Riot services or use of the Riot services not in accordance with these terms is expressly prohibited and may result in severe civil or civil and or criminal penalties. I lost my place for a second. I'm sorry. Virtual goods, game currency, and purchases. Oh, I'm going to hate reading this. What is virtual content? Virtual content includes stuff like game currency and virtual goods such as champion skins, emotes, accessories, $500 skin. When using the Riot services, we may provide you with opportunities to acquire a limited license to access virtual goods, $500 skins, such as champions, $500 skins, emotes, etc., virtual goods, and in-game currency. Game currency associated with your account, collectively virtual content. I'm never going to let Riot live that down, by the way. I'm never going to let them forget they did that. Game currency may only be used for the specific game for which it was purchased unless we say otherwise at the time of purchase. How do I get a license to access virtual content? Buy it, earn it, or receive it. We may provide you with various opportunities to acquire a limited license to access game currency or virtual content, including purchasing it, e.g. with a credit card. And this is the thing about TOS that really annoys me. We established at the very beginning virtual content has no monetary value, but we're still going to charge you for it. Square that circle. Anyways, zero monetary value, but we are going to slap an arbitrary price tag on it anyways. Just purely by their terms of service, like, this is contradictory. Earning it, e.g., by accomplishing missions or tasks, or receiving it from another player as a gift or using crafting functionality like Hextech, registered trademark. Do I own the virtual content I unlock? No, what you unlock is not the virtual good itself, but rather a non-transferable limited license to access it. You have no ownership or other property interest in any of the virtual content you unlock, regardless of how you acquired it. Virtual content has no monetary value except what we randomly place on it. You can't transfer unless we allow it in the functionality of the Riot services, or redeem virtual content for any type of real-world money. You can't obtain refunds for purchasing a license to access virtual content except as expressly permitted by us. You can find our current content refund policy here. Once again, I don't own my virtual content. No, shouted at all the lawyers. That's cute, but this was written by a lawyer, unless you guys are aggressively retarded, which well, no comment. When you obtain virtual content from us, what we are actually giving you is a personal, non-exclusive, non-transferable, non-sublicensable, revocable, limited right and license to use that virtual content only in connection to your use of the applicable Riot services. E.g., you bought that $500 Ari skin, but we can specifically take that away from you at any time. You're not and also, with as per our refund policy, you're not getting the $500 back. We can just decide, fuck you, you gotta buy it again. Notwithstanding anything to the contrary in these terms, you acknowledge and agree that you shall have no ownership or other property interests in your account, and that all rights to in and to your account are and shall forever be owned by and inure to the benefit of Riot Games. You'll further acknowledge and agree that you have no title, ownership, or other proprietary interest in any virtual content, regardless of any consideration offered or paid in exchange. Furthermore, except 1, in cases of willful misconduct or gross negligence, 2, to the extent of these terms that says otherwise, or 3, as otherwise required by applicable law, Riot Games shall not be liable in any manner for the destruction, deletion, modification, impairment, not be responsible for the destruction, deletion, modification, impairment, hacking, or any other damage or loss to any of any kind caused to virtual content, including the deletion of virtual content upon the termination or expiration of your account, or reasonable changes to Riot services. Give us money for it anyways, by the way. Will my virtual content always be available? Not necessarily, no. In an effort to constantly improve the Riot services, evolve our games, and keep the Riot services safe, fun, and secure, we have the right to delete, alter, move, remove, repackage, reprice, or transfer any and all game content, including virtual content, in whole or in part, at any time, with or without notice to you, to the extent permitted by law. For example, your virtual goods may and likely will evolve over time to improve the Riot services, including reasons of game balance, bug fixing, or graphical improvements, or for regulatory or legal reasons. I'm going to wait till I finish this section to translate that. If we decide to entirely retire certain virtual goods that you have recently purchased, we'll provide you with a refund or replacement. We won't delete your game currency without notice, such as through posts on our website, app, or games, unless your account is terminated by us for cause or by you under Section 211. We may sometimes change the purchasing power of game currency. For example, we might increase the number of game currency needed to purchase virtual goods such as skins. We normally only do this in incremental steps, but we will give you give you notice, such as through posts on our website, app, or game, if we plan to make changes that will significantly impact your game currency in a negative way. We don't provide or guarantee and expressly disclaim any value, cash, or otherwise attributed to any data residing on servers we operate or control, including any game content or virtual content attributed to your account. If we allow you to sell or transfer your rights to access certain game content or virtual content, it may only be conducted via services or approved or provided by us in any way. Okay, so we have the right to delete, alter, move, remove, repackage, reprice, or transfer any and all game content, including virtual content, in whole or in part, at any time, with or without notice to you. We reserve the right to bait and switch you by retroactively censoring anything that you buy from us. I believe, I'm just gonna look it up real quick, but because I actually haven't seen for sure, but I believe such as, okay, yeah, I believe I remember hearing some shit about the fucking Battle Bunny ribbon, but they did separate Battle Bunny and that Prime thing. But that is an example where they could have done that, just outright changed it over to that. I didn't look too deeply into it because I'm going to assume malice and bad faith from everything Riot does. Because quite frankly, they get the community they cultivate, and if their community is one of the most toxic on Earth, that's because of them. And quite frankly, it's really not that bad. It's overblown. It is bad because they curtail it. They curtail their own community so much. You can only beat a dog so many times before it turns feral. Um, Um, like that's all I'll really say on that so far. But yeah, they do have the right to retroactively censor anything you've previously bought. I believe they have in the past, but I don't remember specific examples, so they just consider that hearsay. Though I'm sure someone more dedicated than I will be able to confirm whether or not that's happened. Is everything about the Riot services free? No, absolutely no problem with that. In some aspects of the Riot services may require you to pay a fee, and you agree that you'll provide accurate and complete payment info to us or the third-party payment provider used by us. You further agree to pay all fees and applicable taxes incurred on your account. We may revise the pricing for any part of the Riot services at any time with future effect, i.e., with the exception of those which you have already purchased. Okay, I was wondering because I didn't see it in the last section. If that price change, if they actually reserve the right to be like, oh no, you got to buy it again because it was cheaper here. But we bumped the price, not like cheaper as in on a discount. Like they just raised the price of something later. And therefore they're going to make you pay the difference. Like, okay, they do specify here. Kind of weird they don't. It's kind of weird they specify it in the next section, but maybe it's not. I only recently started reading terms of service, actually reading full on terms of service for everything. Um, so I'm only seeing so like I'm only seeing some things that are. I'm not entirely there on what you're gonna find on everything and what is specific to Riot. Um, but okay, they won't retroact. If you've already bought something, you're not gonna get retroactively price hiked on it. Uh, you also won't retroactively be paid the difference if you buy something and it goes down in price permanently later, but whatever. It works both ways. It just works both ways on that. And that seems normal. This can impact the purchasing power of your game currency, though we normally only do this in incremental steps. All fees and charges are payable in accordance with payment terms in effect at the time of the fee or the charge becomes due and payable. We may from time to time modify, amend, or supplement our fees and fee billing methods with future effect. As such changes shall be effective immediately upon posting in these terms or elsewhere on our websites, apps, or in our games, except in cases of our gross negligence, willful misconduct, or failure to exercise reasonable care and skill. If you fail to pay any fees you owe to us, or we have to refund someone due to unauthorized use of a payment made from your account, we may suspend or terminate your account. Shouldn't that just be a we will do that? But, whatever. I don't know why they're reserving the right to say, oh, you made a fraudulent payment, but we'll keep you anyways. That is generally what may and might in a legal document means is it could happen, but we could also do nothing. It's an implied threat more than anything, but that seems like a weird one to say if we can be fucked. Um, Subject to applicable law, any application fees and or charges for fee-based services, including game currency, are payable in advance and aren't refundable in whole or in part except as expressly provided in these terms, or our refund policy, or unless your statutory rights as a consumer entitle you to a refund, except in cases of Riot's gross negligence, willful misconduct, or the extent these terms say otherwise. You're responsible for all losses and charges on your account resulting from sharing your login credentials, or you did not do everything reasonable, e.g., enabling multi-factor and authentication to keep your account or login credentials secure. Okay, so that actually seems fairly reasonable. If you did used all the tools we provided and still someone stole your shit, then we will be liable because then it's something that happened with our servers. I don't know why. I just noticed this pop up here for enable two-factor authentication. Um, I promise you, I do have, because I had to enable I had to look at two-factor to even get the screen to even get this fucking screen to show up. So I promise you, it is enabled. I don't know why I'm getting that pop up. What are my responsibilities relating to game currency? Pay applicable taxes, verify that all transactions with us are correct, etc. You're solely responsible for paying any applicable taxes related to acquiring, using, or accessing game currency. Game currency may be sold or issued by us in bundles, and the price may vary depending on the amount you purchase and where you're purchasing. As we feel it necessary in our reasonable discretion or prescribed by law, we may limit the total amount of game currency that may be purchased for any one game or that may be held in your account in the aggregate. Additionally, price and availability of game currency and virtual goods are subject to change with future effect. We may restrict how much game currency you can purchase and or use based on your location, as we have different approaches in different locations. As you kind of have to, because even within the same country, like within the US, laws vary by state. Um, so there's nothing wrong with that statement. You should verify that the proper amount of game currency has been added to or deducted from your account during any given transaction. Notify us immediately if you believe a mistake's been made with respect to your game currency balance. We'll investigate your claim and in doing so may request some additional info to verify it. Unsolicited idea submission policy. Can I submit ideas for improving the game to Riot? Please don't. If you do anyways, we have the absolute right to use it forever. Okay. I mean, you're the one telling me to judiciously report, so I've been using the report function and providing game discussions. Game suggestions. Usually in the same vein that I provide report feedback to fucking to Blizzard in fucking StarCraft. Though in that one, it's much simpler. My StarCraft submission feedback is delete the fucking disruptor. Delete the disruptor and buff Psystorm, please. Like, I am fine with High Templar being allowed to be good if the High Templar, but their damage is instant, gets removed. Because so far that I'm losing the plot with this statement. I'm distracting myself. I'm sorry. We value your feedback to the Riot services, but please don't submit any creative ideas, suggestions, or materials to us collectively unsolicited ideas. We may freely use any unsolicited ideas you provide. This policy is aimed at avoiding potential misunderstandings or disputes when the Riot services might seem similar to unsolicited ideas that people submit. You may not have any legal rights in the unsolicited ideas you insist on sending to us, but if you do, we'll be allowed to use all or some of your unsolicited ideas for any reason we choose and without any payment to you. I mean, that's fine. Once again, it's usually just this item's bullshit, or this champion's bullshit, or, this whole game is bullshit. Like, that's generally how it goes. So, don't worry, Riot. Nobody is sending you ideas for League of Legends 2. In legal terms, this means if you submit unsolicited ideas to us, then you grant us a worldwide, perpetual, irrevocable, sublicensable, transferable, assignable, non-exclusive, and royalty-free right and license to use, reproduce, distribute, adapt, modify, translate, create derivative works based upon, publicly perform, publicly display, digitally perform, make, have made, sell, offer for sale, and import your unsolicited ideas. A thought occurs, but I'm going to wait till I finish this section, including all copyright, trademark, trade secrets, patents, design, industrial rights, and all other intellectual and proprietary rights related to them in any media not known or in the future developed for any purpose whatsoever, commercial or otherwise, including giving the unsolicited ideas to others without any compensation to you. To the extent necessary, you agree that you undertake and execute and deliver any and all documents and perform any and all actions necessary to or desirable to ensure that the rights to use the unsolicited ideas granted to us as specified above are valid, effective, and enforceable, and you waive and agree to never assert those rights that we've already determined you don't have, but whatever, including those moral rights to the maximum extent permitted by the laws of your jurisdiction. Moral right's a legal term because I've never heard that before. Um anyway, a thought occurs. So when you send those feedback requests, like those feedback surveys that occasionally show up, that is no longer an unsolicited suggestion, because there's always a section of something you think players can do to like something you think can be done to improve the game. That is no longer unsolicited. That is the opposite of unsolicited. I suppose that'll rarely come up because most people who have enough of a brain to have genuinely good ideas to improve this game don't actually play this game. Um so, like the average IQ of a League player is uh slightly higher than my own, which is scary. Scary for all the wrong reasons. User rules. Can I troll, flame, threaten, or harass people while using the Riot services? No, if you do, we might take action, such as banning your account. Yeah, well, um, apparently this actually has to be changed. Can I troll, flame, threaten, or harass myself? Because the answer to that, according to your automod bot, is no. Is still no. Like I can't. Like literally, I got chat restricted for making a joke at my own expense. Like I did something stupid, tried to make fun of myself for it, and I got fucking chat, and I got global muted for that in real time. So excellent. Um, To be eligible to enjoy the Riot services, you must comply with all laws and regulations in the jurisdiction in which you reside. You must also comply with the acceptable use and behavioral policies that we publish from time to time on our website, apps, games, and the behavioral rules listed below. Collectively, the user rules. In the case of a breach, we reserve the right to take appropriate disciplinary measures, including temporary bans, account suspension, or termination and deletion. Hardware bans, removal of content, resets of user progress, chat functionality, limitations in matchmaking queue bans, and restrictions to protect the integrity and spirit of Riot services, regardless of whether a specific behavior is listed in the user rules as inappropriate. So you can just ad hoc decide that I did something you didn't like, and like me or anyone else did something you didn't like, and just ad hoc that shit. Like, yeah, it's not actually listed as against TOS, but we can decide that we didn't like your tone and now you're fucked. Great. Wonderful. Like, again, it's not a question of will they actually do it. It's a question of why is your language so vague enough to allow you to do it? That's the question. Like that really gets the neurons firing. We use both human moderators, no, you don't, and technological means such as automated systems and machine learning tools to uphold our user rules. This includes both reviewing reports reactively, e.g., on receipt of a notice from the other users of the Riot service or authorities, and taking proactive steps to prevent problematic content from appearing on Riot services. You're gonna need, okay, that's the first time that this definite that phrase has appeared in this legal document. You need to define it right then and there, I'm pretty sure, because otherwise what the fuck is problematic content from appearing in Riot services, e.g. chat filters. If you think that we've made an error, please contact our player support team with details here and we will review your case. You can also challenge our determination, see section 16. Yeah, they're not defining what constitutes problematic content here. They better do it later, because if they just keep saying that with no definition, that's actually unenforceable. Um but generally my familiarity with every legal document I've ever read, the first time a specific phrase like that has shown up, it's gotten an immediate qualifier. Like, it's gotten an immediate, this is what it means. Like, all these other phrases have appeared elsewhere so far in this document, but like that one, just we're just driving right on by that right now. Okay. The following are examples of behavior that warrant disciplinary measures. They actually might be about to get into it, in which case disregard this. Reading this was hurting my throat a little bit. Violating any law, rule, or regulation by or while using the Riot services. Impersonating any person, business, or entity, including an employee of Riot Games, or communicating in any way that makes it appear that the communication originates from Riot Games. Yeah. Publicly posting identifying info about yourself, Riot Games employees, or other players. Harassing, stalking, or threatening other players or Riot Games employees. Okay. Yeah. fairly fine, fairly fine. Removing, altering, or concealing any copyright, trademark, patent, or other proprietary rights notice of Riot Games contained within the Riot services. You also may not transmit content that violates or infringes the rights of others, including patent, trademark, trade secrets, copyright, publicity, personal rights, or other rights. Engaging in any behavior which is objectionable or offensive to other players, including communications or conduct that is unlawful, harmful, threatening, abusive, harassing, defamatory, vulgar, obscene, sexually explicit, misogynistic, prejudicial, or racially, ethically, or otherwise objectionable. Um, on platform, right? Okay. Transmitting, facilitating the transmission or use of any content that contains a virus, corrupted data, Trojan horse, bot keystroke, logger, worm, time bomb, cancel bot, or other computer programming routines that are intended to and or actually damage, detrimentally interfere with, surreptitiously intercept, or mine, scrape, or expropriate any system data or personal info. Yeah, stealing your data is Riot Games jobs, not the players. Um Avoiding, bypassing, removing, deactivating, impairing, descrambling, or otherwise circumventing any technological measure implemented by Riot or a third party to control access to the Riot service or any part thereof. Mm-hmm. Don't fuck with their kernel anti-cheat. Spamming chat, whether for personal or commercial purposes, by disrupting the flow of conversation with repeated postings. Participating in any action which we reasonably believe does or may defraud any other player, including by scamming or social engineering. Once again, social engineering, please define what you mean by that, because that has different definitions depending on who you ask. So does scamming, I suppose. Using any unauthorized third party programs, including mods. I mean, I'm reading fucking terms of service, and here I am saying, yes, please put more words in this fucking thing. Um, Using any unauthorized third party programs, including mods, hacks, cheats, scripts, bots, trainers, and automation programs that interact with the Riot services in any way for any purpose, including any unauthorized third party programs that intercept, emulate, or redirect any communication relating to the Riot services, and unauthorized third party programs that collect info about Riot services by reading areas of memory used by the Riot services. Store info. Accessing or attempting to access areas of the Riot service that are not made available to the public. Selecting an account or username that is falsely indicative of an association with Riot Games. Contains personally identifying info that is offensive, defamatory, vulgar, obscene, sexually explicit, racially, ethnically, or otherwise objectionable. You may not use a misspelling or alternative spelling to circumvent this restriction on name choices. Um, Like usernames, Riot Games may modify any name which Riot Games reasonably believes violates this provision without notification to you, and may take further disciplinary measures, including account termination for repeated violations. Once again, I have come across many a player over the years that had a slightly misspelled slur as their username, but that to my knowledge have still never been dealt with, though I've never checked. So yeah, no. Eh, I guess it's good that it's here, but a lot of stuff seems to slip through the cracks on that. Is all I'll say. Non-participation, logging out, or exiting a game during a live gameplay. They may track this data over time and issue a temp ban whenever a player is determined to have left mid-game too many times. The length of the temporary ban will increase over time if a particular account continues to leave live gameplay. Well, a lot of that goes away if you just, like, if your matchmaking wasn't total dog shit. Like, fuck, the number of times I've been playing solo and just routinely and repeatedly get dog walked into 3 and 4 man queues. Like, to be candid, I've AFK'd before. Like, well, one stint of it was like due to like horrible like was due to playing on a busted laptop and the battery kept fucking disconnecting, and that was funnily enough also the only one I ever got banned for temporarily, was when that was happening, because I was completely fucking addicted to the game and didn't hate Riot yet. But I mean, I've left game, but yeah, I've AFK'd like a handful of times over the years. Um, I understand, but I also understand what would drive someone to do it. Um, so yeah, it's kind of shitty, but like it'd happen a hell of a lot less if you just like tightened up your actual matchmaking. Participating in cheating or other anti-competitive behavior, including but not limited to playing on another person's account or otherwise engaging in activity intended to boost an account status or rank. Yeah, that never gets dealt with. Yeah, good one. Like, this is here, but this is pointless. That never gets dealt with. I know there are people that I know for a fact regularly get their ass boosted who play this game. Who, especially end of season boosting, that I've directly called on it. Like nothing ever happens. Like, there are people on my friends list that do that shit. And I that have done both of those things. In fact, like that have either indirectly gotten boosted by doing with someone way fucking higher rated than them on their main, or just handed their account over to them. Like, and I know that's what's happening because I've gotten one of them to admit that it was somebody else, that it was another guy on my friends list playing the motherfucker's account. Like, and I've even back when Riot had its forums, I'd even posted about it and nothing got done. Like, I didn't name and shame because that was also against the TOS of the forums. But like, there was no follow up on that. From Riot themselves. They do not give a damn about this. This is here so that if you annoy them for another reason, they can get rid of you. This is not an issue they care about at all. Like, unless something has drastically changed. An account status or rank, and B, stream sniping, where a player's live broadcast that we've already determined also technically violates TOS. Because I did not read any correction in the monetization to saying, hey, that's fine. Technically, streaming is commercial use. Technically, I believe. Again, I'm not a lawyer. Like, that would make sense in my that makes sense in my brain. Again, I'm not a lawyer. I could be completely fucking wrong about that. And commercial use could have a incredibly specific definition that makes streaming not apply to it. But um is exploited to give another player an unfair advantage and or harass the broadcaster and or their teammates in game. And again, this is also another thing that people don't care about. That's why there are stream covers on the on the mini map all the goddamn time. But like, nobody cares about this because, for starters, the stream sniping thing, that's unenforceable because you can't legally, like the hoops you got to jump through to legally prove that the asshole stream sniping if they just don't admit that's what they're doing. Like, you only get them on that if they're stupid enough to say they're doing it, to tell the streamer, yeah, I'm sniping your ass, haha, fuck you. But really, even the whole issue of stream sniping is more or less fixed by simply having a delay. Like it's not the most fun thing in the world, but to have to do, but it is a thing. Like it is circumventable, like just with a minimap cover and a delay. Inducing or encouraging others to breach the user rules of these terms, or using the Riot services for any business purposes without our express written consent, or after we've asked you to stop using the Riot services. Why would you ever even ask someone to stop? Like, you've already put in multiple like gotchas here that are effectively you saying we can get rid of you for any reason we goddamn feel like, effectively, without directly saying that. I don't know why this part's here. Like, I don't think they're sending naughty accounts a cease and desist in the mail, but I'm not sure what the legal reason for that being here is. That just seems like that just seems to me to be in the same vein as your essay has to have a minimum word count. I'm not gonna lie. Do the user rules apply only to in-game misconduct? No. Excuse you? No, we can take disciplinary action against you for any use of the Riot services, such as violating the user rules while broadcasting game content. That's what the controversy they're currently embroiled in is, where they'll ban you for shit you say but don't actually type in the game. That's where this comes from. Okay. Okay. But honestly, my first thought is, well, lol, hentai's gone. um, to the extent allowed by applicable law, the user rules apply not only within the Riot services, but also while you broadcast our game content or the Riot services, including as pursuant to Riot's legal jibber jabber policy. Once again, this whole thing has been legal jibber jabber, so I don't know what your specific I don't know I don't know why you expect me to know what that is. That better be in here somewhere. I didn't see a section on it in the table of contents. For example, Riot Games may take disciplinary measures against you as described in Section 7.1 for hate speech made by you to your live streaming audience while you broadcast yourself playing one of our games, even if the hate speech is made via the live streaming platform and not within one of our game's own text or voice channels. Similarly, the user rules would apply to an uploaded video recording or social media post of you playing our games in which you harass, stalk, or threaten other players or Riot Games employees. Yeah, well, I've sent you assholes several reports where I've said, like where I've directly said, like, I hope your wife's boyfriend ruptures your asshole, like, over the stupidest bullshit in this game. So you're doing a great job with that. Of course, something will probably happen now that I'm saying it. If I wasn't a no view, anyways. Can breaking the user rules in one game result in penalties in another game? Yes, misconduct in one of our games can result in account-wide penalties or escalated penalties in another game once you break the user rules in the new game. Once you break the user rules in the new game. So that's, if I'm reading that right, hang on. Can breaking their user rules in one game result in penalties in another game? Yes, misconduct in one of our games can result in account-wide penalties or escalated penalties in another game once you break the user rules in the new game. Okay. Okay, so if it's severe enough to be account-wide, yes. But if it's not severe enough to be account-wide, no, but it will be remembered that you fucked around in, like, League of Legends when you fuck around in Valorant, so you may find out twice as hard in Valorant because of the previous League issue, if I'm reading that correctly. I mean, I don't fucking play Valorant. Like, I'm not a goddamn loser who is upset that Paladins lost a fucking that Paladins lost to Overwatch or some shit. Like, I don't know. It's just trying to. It's just. It's just Technicolor Counter Strike. Like, just go play Counter Strike. It's Counter Strike with hero abilities, like, which means it's bad Counter Strike. To the extent allowed by applicable law, violation of the user rules in one of Riot services can result in a penalty applicable to certain other. Okay. This includes potentially escalating penalties in one game based on your misconduct in another. Motherfucker, is there a limited word count on this? Why are you reiterating something you just said? Repeated hate speech by a player in one of our games may lead to longer temp bans in another, once that player violates the user rules in the new game. It also might include the issuance of temporary or permanent bans and account suspensions that apply to all of our games. Fine. I don't know why you had to say that twice, but fine. Whatever. Like, again, there's nothing particularly wrong with a lot of these, though. That whole, oh yeah, we can just, like, axe you for because you're talking shit. Like, Riot, you've already killed the social aspect of this game within your game tools. Like, now you're trying to tell the streamers they're not allowed to have fun or vent either. Like, yeah, okay, now you're trying to directly control speech you don't in areas you don't control, like in area on platforms you don't own. Like, no, you can't fucking do that. That is, no, absolutely not. Like, regarding that previous section, user generated content. Am I responsible for the content that I post on and in the Riot services? Yes, and we can use what you post. Apart from unsolicited ideas, which we address separately in Section 6 above, you're also responsible for any communications, usernames, images, sounds, or other materials or info you upload or transmit with or through the Riot services, your content. Should you upload or transmit your content only if you agree that you should only do it if you agree that you grant us, from time of uploading or transmission, a worldwide perpetual, irrevocable, sublicensable, non-exclusive, and royalty-free license to use. Okay, so, uh-huh. and license to use, reproduce, distribute, adapt, modify, translate, create derivative works based upon, publicly perform, publicly display, digitally perform, make, have made, and import your content, including all copyrights, publicity rights, trademarks, trade secrets, patents, industrial rights, and all other intellectual and proprietary rights related to them for the purpose of providing the Riot services without any compensation to you. Oh, okay, so second verse, same as the first. Unsolicited ideas, no, you will not get paid for, and we own everything. Solicited ideas, no, you will not get paid for, and we own everything. Okay. That's effectively exactly what this is saying. It's just, hey, if we, don't send us shit that we didn't ask for. If you do, but if you do and we use it, you don't own it. Like, we own that completely. Fine, fair enough. If we specifically ask you for shit, fuck you, we still own everything. Fine, fair enough. But fuck you, we will take your time and ideas, but we don't owe you shit for it, even though we're specifically asking. What? Alright. Basically, if you're not an employee of Riot, keep any ideas you have to yourself that isn't trolling, and even if it is trolling them, keep it to yourself, because they could get petty and just ban you for it. You waive any moral rights. Again, what the fuck are moral rights? You may have in your content with respect to our use of your content, the maximum extent permitted by the laws of your jurisdiction. If local laws do not allow for waiver of moral rights, or such laws allow for the waiver of moral rights but require certain formalities, e.g., a waiver must be signed by the person giving up the right. Instead, you agree not to assert such rights. That's unenforceable. And or grant Riot Games the right to use your content and all elements of your content with or without your name or pseudonym, as well as freely edit your content. You agree not to... Okay, so if you have rights but the law doesn't specifically say you have them, you waive them. And if you aren't allowed to waive them, you agree to waive them. You agree to ignore that. All right. That's probably unfortunately common in these TOSs. Why the fuck am I having fun reading terms of service? I ask myself an hour and 20 minutes into this. You represent, warrant, and agree that none... Holy shit, an hour and 17 minutes into this? I mean, it looks like we're about at the halfway point. You represent, warrant, and agree that none of your content will be subject to any obligation, whether of confidentiality, attribution, or whatever, on the part of Riot Games, and Riot Games won't be liable for any use or disclosure of your content. You further represent, warrant, and agree that your content shall not violate any third-party rights. All right, here's the one I wanted to get to. Monitoring and anti-cheat. Does Riot monitor me while we use the Riot services? Yes, please read the privacy notice to learn more. Fuck yourself. We may actively monitor the use of Riot services, but have no obligation to do so, both on our own servers and your computer or device, for a wide variety of different purposes, including preventing cheating and hacking, reducing toxic player behavior, and improving the Riot services. Please be sure to read our privacy notes for important details about how we can obtain and process info in connection with your use of Riot services. Does Riot run programs on my device while I'm not using the Riot services? We may for limited anti-cheat purposes. Translation, we do, and it's for whatever the fuck we feel like. Vanguard is a kernel. Why do you need kernel level access? In order to prevent cheating and hacking, we may require you to install anti-cheat. You do. It is literally not optional. You have to have Vanguard. Like, what is this we may shit? Here's the weaseling. This software may run in the background of your device. It does. Updates and modifications. Will these terms wait, that's it on monitoring and anti-cheat? Wow, that is so fucking weaselly. Okay, so quick translation. Yes, they monitor. Yes, they monitor you. They are lying if they say anything else. Yes, they actively monitor you. Yes, they fucking. Yes, they run this device while you're not running Riot services. It is a kernel. You are obligated to install a backdoor onto your device that they can get so that they can access your computer at any time. We may require you to install. They do require you to install. This software may run in the background of your device. It does. Even if the little icon here shows it's not currently running, it's running. It is always running. Updates and modifications. Will these terms change in the future? Yes. We may. So basically, this entire section's lying. It's not. It's not lying to you in a legal sense. It is not directly lying to you, but they are saying maybe to every single question that to every single term that they know damn well the answer is yes. It's not. It's not a soft maybe. It is a yes. Yes, we are. Like it's not even like, oh, they're spying on you. It's they are, whether they want you, whether they want to or not, they are. So have fun with that. um the fact that they're using so much legal like weasel language with that is, I don't that's infuriating. Will these terms change in the future? Yes, we may and probably will create updated versions of these terms in the future as the Riot services, and after what I just read in that modification section, I may do this again when it updates again. As the Riot services and applicable laws and regulations evolve, when we do, we'll inform you of the new terms which will supersede and replace these terms in writing. Yeah, that's fine. That's normal. You'll be given reasonable time and opportunity to review them and decide whether you wish to agree to the terms. If you accept the new terms, you'll be able to continue using Riot services. If you refuse, you won't be able to use them anymore. That's fine. Will they, like, that fine as in normal? Fine as in normal, but like, will they stay the same? No, like Kazakhs, they will evolve. Once again, drop your jokes here, dickhead. Drop your jokes here, dickhead. That last section was a complete. You were completely being snaky little fox. In an effort to constantly improve the Riot services, evolve our games, and keep the Riot services safe, fun, and secure, you agree that we may change, modify, update, suspend, nerf or restrict your access to any features or parts of the Riot services, including virtual goods. What does nerf in quotations mean? E.g., we might change features of the virtual goods for regulatory or legal reasons to improve the game experience, and may require that you download and install software and updates to any software required to support the Riot services at any time without liability to you, to the extent permitted by law. You also understand and agree that any such changes or updates to Riot services might change the system specifications necessary to play our games, and in such cases, you and not Riot Games are responsible for purchasing any necessary additional software or hardware in order to access and play our games. You also understand and agree that we may use background patching to automatically update our games and software without a notice to you. Oh wow, they have a clause in here that says we can stealth patch shit. Do they not announce hot fixes anymore? I don't like the idea that they can give unlisted stealth nerfs, but that's probably always been there. Again, I didn't. Like most people, I generally used to ignore this shit. Links. What about links in the Riot services? Are those safe? Like Bard's Magical Journeys, you might find something dangerous waiting for you on the other side. Proceed with caution. The Riot services may contain links to websites operated by other parties. Again, we do not own or operate the other websites. We will provide these links to you as a convenience, or other users might be posting these links as user-provided content. Use these links and the corresponding external websites at your own risk. We don't control the linked sites. We're not responsible for the content available there. Such links don't imply our endorsement of info or material on the other site. Okay, notice and procedures for claims of copyright infringement. I mean, I don't even know if I give a shit about this part, but God, do I read the whole thing? I think I do, just for completion's sake. I think I do. Okay. Oh, fine. I'll fucking read this part too. What should I do if someone is infringing my copyright work in Riot Services? Send us a copyright takedown notice. Riot Games respects copyright law and expects its users to do the same. It is our policy to terminate accounts in accordance with Section 212 in appropriate circumstances of users who infringe or are believed to have infringed the rights of copyright holders. Riot Games will respond expeditiously to claims of copyright infringement committed using the Riot Games websites or other online network accessible through a mobile device or other types of device. The sites that are reported to Riot Games' designated copyright agent identified in the sample notice below. If you're a copyright owner, are authorized to act on behalf of one, or authorized to act under any exclusive right under copyright, please report alleged copyright infringements taking place on or through the sites by submitting a notice that contains all the following. Identify the copyrighted work you claim has been infringed, or if multiple copyrighted works are covered by this notice, you may provide a representative list of the copyrighted works that you claim have been infringed. Identify the material you claim is infringing or to be subject of infringing activity that is to be removed or access to which is to be disabled, and information reasonably sufficient to permit us to locate the material, including at a minimum, if applicable, the URL of the link shown on the sites where such material may be found. Provide your mailing address, telephone number, and if available, email address. Include both the following statements in the body of the notice. I hereby state that I have in good faith believe that the disputed use of copyrighted materials is not authorized by the copyright owner, its agent, or the law, e.g. fair use. As fair use. I hereby state that the information in this notice is accurate and, under penalty of perjury, that I am owner or authorized to act on behalf of the owner of the copyright or of an exclusive right under the copyright that is allegedly infringed. Provide your full legal name and your electronic or physical signature. You only need to include this language if you live in the United States of America. What is that asterisk? You only need to include this language if you live in the United States of America. Okay. I don't know. I don't know copyright law, so I'm gonna assume that they're talking about up here this hereby state statements that you have to provide. Um, Deliver this notice with all items completed to Riot Games copyright agent to the address of the Riot Games entity responsible for providing the Riot services in your region. See Section 18. Be sure to mark it attention copyright agent and not attention legal department so it gets to the right person quickly. You can send your notice instead by email to copyright@riotgames.com. This email address is intended solely for the receipt of copyright takedown notices and not general inquiries or requests of Riot Games. Attachments cannot be accepted at the email address for security reasons. Accordingly, any notice submitted electronically with an attachment will not be received or processed. Please note the notices are legal notices, and that Riot Games may provide copies of such notices to the participants in the dispute or to third parties at its discretion as required by law. Upon receipt of such a notice, Riot Games will take whatever action in its sole discretion it deems appropriate, including removal of challenged material from these sites. Warranty disclaimer. Does Riot make any warranties about Riot services? It depends where you are. Prepare for some more lawyer shouting. Cute. We're not responsible for your installation and use of and results obtained from Riot services, no matter where you are based. No, if your kernel fucks my machine up, no, you are. I think you are liable for that. Go fuck yourself. Also, if you're based in North, Central, or South America, the Riot services are provided to you on an as-is and as-available basis without warranty or representations of any kind, express or implied. You assume all responsibility for your use of Riot services to the fullest extent permitted by applicable law. The Riot Games disclaims all warranties, express or implied, which might apply to Riot services, including implied warranties of title, non-infringement, merchantability, fitness for a particular purpose, any warranties that may arise from the course of dealing, course of performance, or usage of trade, and any warranties as to the accuracy, reliability, or quality of any content info obtained from Riot services. Limitation of liability. Is there a limit on Riot's potential liability under these terms? Yes. That's an understatement. You're trying to say you have no liability for anything ever. But go off. To the extent permitted by law and subject to subsection 14.13 below, our total liability to you, whether breach of these terms, negligence, or any other reason, for any loss, harm, or damage suffered by you in connection with your downloading, use, and access of Riot services is limited to total amounts paid by you to Riot during the 12 months immediately prior to the time of your cause of action first arose. We only make the Riot services available for domestic and private use. We're not liable for business losses, such as loss of profit, loss of business, business interruption, loss of goodwill, or loss of business opportunity. We also won't have responsibility for any damage which arises because you failed to install any update when it is made available, or where you fail to maintain the minimum system specifications required separately, and subject to subsection 14.13 below. We are not responsible for any loss that was not foreseeable at the time you entered into these terms, or any loss that we both knew might happen only because of your special circumstances existing at the time you entered into these terms, including all indirect damages. Despite anything else we say in these terms, we do not exclude or limit in any way our liability to you where it would be unlawful to do so. And that's in all caps, so you know the lawyer wrote this specifically, including our liability for death or personal injury arising from our negligence, our fraud or fraudulent misrepresentation. You've been misrepresenting a lot in this document so far, so that's interesting. Willful or grossly negligent behavior, damage arising from negligent breach of an obligation that is essential for the performance of the contract by Riot Games to the extent that it is typical and foreseeable. For any guarantee given to you by us, or any liability under a jurisdiction's applicable product liability legislation. You may also have specific rights under local law in addition to those set out above. Governing law. What law applies to these terms, or if we get into a dispute? That depends on where you live and what Riot Games entity provides you with in Riot services. Please review below to determine what laws applies to your use of the Riot services. Irrespective of this choice of law, you may have the benefit of other or additional mandatory rights or remedies provided by you in local law, in addition to those set out in these terms. Nothing in these terms limits or affects those rights. If you live in North, Central, or South America, excluding Brazil because they're a dictatorship, these terms and any action arising out of or in connection with these terms will be governed by the laws of the state of California. Oh, okay, so we're all under dictatorship, without regard to conflict of the laws of provisions, except from Section 816 dispute resolution, which shall be governed by the Federal Arbitration Act. 9 USC, I don't know what the symbol is, 1 et sec is that supposed to be etc. or et sequen, or is et sec a specific thing? I don't know. And United States federal arbitration law, except as otherwise expressly set out in Section 16 dispute resolution, the exclusive jurisdiction for all disputes that you and Riot Games are not required to arbitrate will be the state and federal courts located in Los Angeles County, California, because they're on our payroll. And you and Riot Games each waive any objection to jurisdiction and venue in such courts. Nothing in this paragraph precludes you or Riot Games from removing a suit filed in state court to federal, from removing a suit filed in state court to federal court if federal jurisdiction exists over the suit. If you live in South Korea, these terms and any action arising out or in connection with these terms shall be governed by the laws of Korea. Wow. If you live in Japan, they'll be governed by Japan. Singapore, Philippines, Thailand, Malaysia, or Indonesia. These terms will be governed by the laws of Singapore, specifically. Interesting. If you live in the European Economic Area, UK, Brazil, or any country that isn't listed in Section 15, they will be governed by and construed under the laws of Ireland without regard to conflict of law principles and provided that such choice of law won't override any mandatory protections. Ireland isn't part of the UK. If you live in the European Economic, maybe they're part of the European Economic Area, I don't fucking know. UK, Brazil, or any country that isn't listed. Any country that isn't listed in Section 15 is subject to Irish law. What is the logistics of that? What? Why is Brazil subject to Ireland's law? I'm confused. Okay. Apparently the threat, if okay, everywhere else the threat is you're going to Brazil, but if you're in Brazil, the threat becomes you're going to Ireland. Got it. That's there is some legal jargon there that is completely going over my head, but that's really funny. What? I gotta know the story behind that at some point. Like behind why Ireland specifically at some point. Dispute resolution. I have an issue that I haven't been able to sort out with Riot Games. What's the path to resolving it? Depends on where you live. Okay. If you live in North Central or South America, yeah, read part A and part B of this section. South Korea, contracting and dealing with Riot Games Korea Limited, and you'll need to read Part A. So, yeah, if you live in the free world, you're subject to California law. If you live in the EU hellscape, you're subject to... if you live in the EU hellscape or the dictatorship of Brazil, you're subject to Irish law for some reason. And if you live in the sea region, you're subject to Singapore law. Interesting. Isn't it seems kind of weird that you can be subject to the laws of a country you don't live in and Riot isn't based in. That's very odd. But there's probably a reason for it that I'm not getting, but that's just funny to say. Yeah, okay, this is just how you resolve these disputes. It's just a rehash of it's telling you the specific legal steps you have to take in each of these areas. Like who you have to go through in each of the previously mentioned areas. Yeah, okay. What the heck is arbitration? A private dispute resolution method, no courtrooms or juries. Okay. Okay. this part I don't think I need to read. Like, I don't think this is ever gonna apply. Is this the last section, or... Okay, additional terms applicable to Riot services. We're just gonna not, like, some of that was funny, but, like, it was mostly just rehash after rehash, so... And I don't want this to go on for 2 hours. Additional terms applicable for Riot services. General terms. You may access Riot services we make available from certain authorized third-party stores or platforms. An authorized third-party provider of any store, game system, console, or platform, each a third-party platform. Only if you agree these terms are an agreement between us and you, and not between you and the third-party platform. As between Riot Games and third-party platform, Riot Games is solely responsible for Riot services. The third-party platform has no obligation to provide any maintenance and support services for Riot services. The third-party platform is not responsible for addressing any claims you have relating to Riot services. I'm guessing Valo is on consoles, because I feel like I would have heard if League of Legends was. And I know League of Legends sure as shit ain't on Steam. Like, if that happens, that means Riot has capitulated and recognized that their game is finally fucking dead. Um, like, if a third party's claims of any, third party platforms not responsible for addressing any claims you have relating to the services in your possession. Relating to Riot services or your possession and use of Riot services. If a third party claims any of the Riot services infringes another party's IP rights, as between the third party platform and Riot Games, the third party platform will not be responsible for the investigation, defense, settlement, and discharge of any such claim. The third party platform and its subsidiaries are third party beneficiaries of these terms as they relate to your license and to Riot services. Upon your acceptance of these terms, the third-party platform will have the right and be deemed to have accepted the right to enforce Section 17. Yeah, no, in the third-party platform, again, maybe Valo's on consoles. I'm pretty sure Legends of Runeterra is on phones, so it's probably for those. Lord. You must also comply with all applicable third-party terms of services and licenses while accessing or using the third-party platform, including additional terms that apply when you download, stream, access, or use Riot Games virtual contents or other Riot services. Riot legal entities. They are composed of... Okay, I don't care about this. Miscellaneous. What can I do if I have questions about Riot? It's just... Wait, if you live in... Yeah, it's just addresses. It's just telling you all their legal addresses. Miscellaneous. Can either party assign these terms, not without the consent of the other party? Neither you nor Riot may assign its rights under these terms in whole or in part to any person or entity at time without prior written consent of the other party. Any unauthorized assignment by either you or us shall be null and void. Is this our entire agreement? Yes, including those other important policies we talked about earlier. So the Summoner's Code, if it would even still be called that, is meaningless. Like, this is the TOS is the entire agreement. So anything any employee says that is not quoting this document is wrong. It has no weight. It's right. It is written right here. This is our entire agreement. 19.3 of your TOS. This is the entire agreement. So, fuck anything they say officially that's not quoting this document. Got it. These terms represent the complete agreement between you and Riot Games concerning the Riot services and supersede any product or contemporaneous agreements between you and Riot Games. These terms shall coexist with and shall not supersede any other Riot Games policies referenced in these terms. You and Riot Games agree that we have not relied upon any terms, conditions, representations, warranties, or similars that were not expressly set out in these terms. I do not agree with that. You never defined problematic content, and you only You never defined problematic content. You never defined hate speech. You used weasel language with Vanguard. So no, you did not expressly set out certain terms. You actually failed to do that. Where in a lot of places where it mattered. What happens if a natural disaster interferes with the game? Riot isn't liable. That makes sense. Like, they're not Cobra Commander. Contrary to popular belief, they are not Cobra Commander. They don't have a weather dominator. That's the U.S. government. Operation Popeye. Like, for the source on that. Do these terms mean we're partners? Not in a legal sense, no. That almost feels unnecessary, but I'm sure a lawyer determined it was important. You agree that no joint venture, partnership, employment, or agency relationship exists between you and Riot Games as a result of these terms or your use of Riot services. Uh-huh. Yeah, reasonable. If I breach these terms and Riot does nothing for a long time, does that mean I'm off the hook? No, we reserve all our rights. You were an asshole 5 years ago, so we're getting rid of you. We're getting rid of you now. I mean, I get it, but that's still fucking weird. Riot Games' failure to enforce any provision of these terms shall in no way be construed to be a present or future waiver of such provision, nor in any way affect the right of any party to enforce each and every such provision. After that, any waiver by Riot Games of any provision, condition, or requirement by these terms shall not constitute a waiver of any future obligation to provide with such provision, condition, or requirement. So yeah, in relation to Riot being responsible for their community, being a jackass isn't against terms of service. Isn't that interesting? Being toxic isn't actually against terms of service. Because they failed to define problematic content, so that word is meaningless. And they defined hate speech basically purely as being racist or misogynist. Like, as the usual, like, as saying anything against the usual Technicolor parade. But, yeah, so as long as you don't do that, they're actually violating their end of the agreement. With stuff like that auto mod. Because, like, they up here, where is it? Yeah, is this our entire agreement? Yes, including those other important policies we've talked about earlier. Like, so the privacy statement and stuff also applies, but whatever any rioter says about their rules and regs is bullshit. Like, unless it's directly quoting one of these documents. Their summoner's code is a whole lot of letters to Santa. It's a whole lot of shit that's not actually rules. Interesting. Um, just saying. Just saying. Like, if I'm reading this correctly, and yeah, I could very well not be, but isn't that fun? Riot Games could suffer irreparable harm if a breach of certain. What remedies are available if I breach these terms? They could suffer irreparable harm if breach of certain of a certain of if a breach of certain of these terms. All right, so you had a team of lawyers go over this, and not one of them used spell check. Like, is not explicit, is not specifically enforced, and damages may not be an adequate remedy for Riot Games. As a result, we may rely upon this section to ask a court for an injunctive relief or specific performance. If I need to send a legal notice to Riot, where do I send it? We hope you never need to send us a legal notice, but if you do, except as otherwise expressly provided, you may be, or as may be permitted in the jurisdiction in which you reside. All notices given to you or required under these terms shall be in writing and addressed to Riot Games entity that provides you with the Riot services at issue. See Section 18 for the address of the relevant Riot Games entity. Can I play the game if the U.S. government thinks I might be a terrorist or live in an embargoed country, or I live in an embargoed country? No. Hmm. I'm sorry, if the U.S. government thinks you might be a terrorist. Not if you are. If they think you might be, you're not allowed to play this game. All right. So, when concerned parents were labeled domestic terrorists, how many people got immediately banned from this game? When concerned parents speaking out against the education system got labeled domestic terrorists by the alphabet soup agencies. Like, I wonder how many of them lost their League of Legends accounts because of that shit. Probably none of them, because I don't think anybody was specifically doxxed by that, but then that was an entire clown show that just, like, the government response was such a clown show that I didn't pay attention to it as much as I probably should have. I mostly just laughed at their incompetence. Um, Much of the Riot services are developed in the U.S., so you cannot use them if the Office of Foreign Assets Control, the United States Treasury Department, lists you as a specially designated national and or blocked person. Okay, okay, back it up. So up here it says if the government thinks I might be a terrorist, and here it says no, you've actually been listed as one. Like, you've actually been firmly listed as one. Interesting. The Bureau of Industry and Security of the United States Department of Commerce lists you as lists you on its denied persons list or lists of party of concern. Damn. Riot is just saying Edward Snowden's not allowed to play their game. Or 3, or on any similar list promulgated by an official agency or department of the United States government. You warrant and represent that you're not located in, under the control of, or a national resident of an embargoed country. This is probably standard. I'm just cracking. Like, to be clear, I'm just cracking jokes on this part. This is actually probably standard in a lot of in pretty much every TOS. If part of these terms is invalidated, what happens to the rest? Like Zach, these terms might lose a part or two, but what's left lives on. Except as otherwise provided in these terms, if any provision of these terms is held to be invalid or unenforceable for any reason, you never define problematic content, so that's unenforceable by default. Such provision shall be considered severed from these terms, and the remainder of these terms shall continue in full force and effect. Like, again, I'm not a lawyer, so I could be wrong on that, and I will firmly admit that, but I'm pretty sure, because this is technically a legal document, they do have to define what that is, and they just didn't. Like, that's not a common sense thing, no matter how badly they wish it was. Like, okay. Are these silly headings legally binding? No, these headings are just our lawyers' way of trying to be engaging and funny. Other lawyers find these headings to be appropriately engaging and funny. Oh, well, the fact that I didn't laugh at any of this, that I was more annoyed by these jokes than anything. There's your proof that I'm not a lawyer. You know, a year ago I would have said, like, somebody get Nick Rekieta to give this a once over and see if he found this funny, as a fact check. But, like, now that joke is sad. I mean, it's kind of funny still, but it's sad now. The headings and parentheticals in these terms are provided for informational and entertainment purposes only. They have no legal effect whatsoever. I guess get legal mindset to see if he fucking found these to be appropriately engaging and funny, or if he's getting outed as a fake lawyer. How long does this agreement last? For as long as you use the Riot services or until your account is terminated. Some provisions have been chrono shifted, though, and last forever. Fuck. Oh, I reached the bottom finally. It took 2 hours. Holy shit. Um, how long? For as long as you use the services or until your account's terminated. Some provisions have been chrono shifted and last forever. These terms begin on the date you first accept them and last as long as you maintain. Yeah, okay. When we say including these terms, is that language limiting? No. Whenever we use including in these terms, we mean including without limitation. So you'll define the word including, but not problematic okay. Okay. I don't understand lawyer speak. I do not understand legal doublespeak. I can identify when it's happening, but not why. Oh my god. By selecting the accept button below or otherwise using or accessing Riot services, you're agreeing to be bound by these terms and conditions set out by these terms. I do not think I will. Go fuck yourself.